I was born and raised in London in a family of 5 siblings. So my parents took us to Catholic church every Sunday, and we attended Catholic school. So I heard about Jesus, I heard what he'd done for us. I knew of the Christian terminology like sin, heaven, hell, the Trinity, Holy Spirit. But back then I couldn't really grasp what it really meant. I couldn't really fathom what this all meant to me. To me, Jesus was more of a mythical figure, like the ones you would hear about in school, in Greek mythology, like Zeus, Hercules. But I did believe in a higher power of some sort. I believed in a God, but I also believed in many other things. I believed in reincarnation, I believed in karma, I believed in laws of attraction. I did believe in ghosts, evil spirits. I believed in evolution. I believed in spirituality, New Age, so many things. The Catholic Church, their beliefs is you either believe in God or you go to hell. But I've always been open-minded because I would look around me, the different cultures, the different religions, different families raised in different religions. How can, the Catholic Church be the only solution, the only way to God? That's what I felt at that time. So I was open-minded with other religions, other ways, of our existence and, our origins and a higher power. Looking back, I guess I was just like any other typical teenager, getting up to no good, being mischievous and rebellious. But, I did believe that if there was a heaven, that I'd be good enough to enter it. I did compare myself with other people that, I'm better than this guy, or I'm not as bad as, this person. So I always felt that I did have a good set of morals behind me to live by. It was in 2010, I was arrested along with several other people and put into prison. And that was just a big shock to my system. I never thought in a million years that I would be arrested. This, in my head, I thought this was a misunderstanding. So I thought I would be going home as soon as I got to the police station. But they kept me inside and I wasn't granted bail. So I was just waiting around for hours, and those hours turned into days, and those days turned into weeks, and then I realized that I could be here for a very long time. I met with the solicitor and he told me that I was indicted for a drug charge, and that I could be up for a maximum of 10 years. So it wasn't like a small laughing matter. And I remember, I thought, what is going on? And I was frustrated, I was angry. This has nothing to do with me. And then my mum come visit me for the first time in prison. And I remember seeing her and she was crying. And that's when it really took me to the core. It broke my heart, and I remember going back to my cell and I was angry. I was angry at God because I don't know who to be angry at. And I remember saying to him, God, are you even real? Because if you are real, you ain't good. How could you do this to me? Not only to me, but how could you do this to my family? And I remember just venting my frustration at him, saying to him, there's a lot of people out there that deserve to be in prison are not in here. Yet me, I don't deserve to be in prison, yet I'm here. And that's when I questioned his existence, whether he was real or not. So I remember that I was just waiting around for the solicitors, the prosecution, just trying to find answers of when I will be going home or my trial date. You know, I was just waiting around. I felt like I was in limbo, and it was so frustrating. And for people that know me, I'm quite reserved, I'm quite chill, quite laid back on the outside. But in my head, you know, my mind just going all over the place. And this was just, I remember this was going on day after day, continuously, week after week, still not knowing. And I was desperate, I didn't know what to do. I was desperate, and the only one thing I could do was pray. I haven't prayed since I was a kid. You know, we were taught to pray in church, in Sunday school. Just the basics of praying, where you're grateful for your family and your friends, and you know, the roof over your head and the food that we eat. And that's what I did. I prayed as soon as I woke up and before I went to sleep. And I can't explain what happened. Something happened deep inside me. I had this sense of peace, which I never had before. And I remember it just changed my perspective and my mindset when I was there. So I woke up and I felt grateful, I felt content, and I had a realization that if I was to stay here for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, I would be okay. So whatever I was doing, whether it was a placebo effect, it worked. And I prayed every day, and I started to do it more often, not just, you know, in the night time and the daytime, but during the day. And yeah, I was accustomed to prison life. I was there probably now for several months now, just getting used to everything around me, because this was my life now, and learning to embrace my environment and my situation. And I still had that pondering whether God was real, and I can't remember exactly when to pinpoint when I asked him, God, if you are real, you know, guide me to the truth. You know, whether it hurts or it upsets me, I just want to know the truth, if you are real. Because, you know, up to that point, I remember reflecting on this, how, you know, we're brought up into a culture, we're brought up into a religion. So we have all these pre-assumptions about God. We have all these ideas. You know, many people say that they know God, but everyone has different ideas about who he is. So I wanted to just figure out for myself and not be biased to anyone, and just kind of start again, just me and God. If this person is real, he will guide me to lead me to the truth. And that started my journey. I remember I was in my own thoughts a lot, having a dialogue with this, I don't know, this imaginary friend that I created in my mind. And I remember just watching, you know, people watching. Because there would be times when, you know, these prisoners would finish their sentence. You know, they probably done a couple of years, 5 years, or maybe more. and they would leave and they'd be released, but only to come back after 2 weeks. And in my head, I'm like, why would you do that? They didn't value their freedom as much as I did. And the more I looked at the people around me, the differences, I had this new found empathy for them. Like, we're all different, we're all going through our own problems. I remember saying to myself, how did it get to be so bad for these people, for them to end up here? And I couldn't help stop thinking about these people's souls. How is that all there is to these people's lives? They're going to be in this prison until they die, and that's it. And I was just pondering a lot on God. Where's the one place that people claim that they find God? And it's in religion, they say. So it made me think, okay, all these religions, they claim to have this holy book, from God. And I thought, okay, let's just look at probability. Is it possible that, God would send something to mankind? And I thought, okay, I don't know whether it was God revealing some kind of revelation to me, but he made me think that, okay, what's the one thing that we have today that we had thousands of years ago? We didn't have technology, we didn't have video, but we had written language. And I thought, okay, written language, for thousands of years, there is a possibility that one of these holy books could be from God. So one of my first cellmates was a Muslim, and he would, at 5 times a day, he would take out his rug and lay on the floor, and he would bow down and pray 5 times. He would do this consistently 5 times a day. And I was curious, and out of my curiosity, I would ask him, what's all this? And that's where he introduced me to the Quran. So he gave me an English translation of the Quran, and he told me about his beliefs, about the Muslim beliefs. And while reading the Quran, I remember this was the first time I've ever read a religious book contradicting another religion. Because I remember it talking about Jesus, I remember it talking about Mary and God. And it kind of astonished me that out of these 2 books, the Quran and the Holy Bible, they both can't be right. One of them contradicting the other, or they both could be wrong. I wasn't in a position to conclude anything, but it did make me question. So every 2 weeks there would be a Buddhist class held in a prison. So I thought that would be an opportunity for me to ask the teacher about if there's a God and what happens to us after death. So I asked the teacher those very questions, and his reply was, does there need to be a God? Does there need to be life after death? What if we're here and we're just going through this cycle? So I remember contemplating on what he said. Initially I thought, oh, that's a pretty good answer, but then the more I thought about it, the more I realized he didn't really answer my question. So I did, before I left that class, I did take a book about Buddhism. So I was in my room and I started reading about Buddhism, because I'm open-minded and I just want to know the truth, even though if it's something that I'm not comfortable with, because maybe there isn't a God. Maybe that's it, when we die and that's it, or maybe we're getting reincarnated, I don't know. I just wanted to continue to just, be open of all these religions. I'm familiar with going to church because I was raised in a Catholic church, so I did decide to visit a church service. And when I went there, I took the Bible with me back to my cell. I'm not much a reader, but since being in prison, I read so much, and there's nothing. Obviously, there's nothing to do there, so it's just a way to pass time. So I remember while reading the Bible, I read the Bible before, when we were young, in church or Catholic Sunday school. But this time, I took my time, and I remember reading about Jesus and thinking to myself, wow, this Jesus guy, I really like him. I would love to be like him. I love his wisdom, his character. He's such a loving person. I still remember that till this day. And I remember reading about, sin and what Jesus done for us. And I do remember, it maybe for a moment, that it kind of made sense how sin is the world around us, how sin has infected the world. And I don't know, I just remember it kind of made more sense to me just from that little passage that I read. So on this new journey of mine, trying to discover truth, I attended the library a lot, and I would pick up all the mainstream religions that I've heard of, like Judaism, Christianity, Hinduism, spirituality, New Age. I wanted to learn so much about different other religions and their history. So while being in prison all that time, I did gain a lot of information and knowledge about all these religions.